of special significance, the author of the captivating masterpiece we are gathered here to celebrate. Beneath the Devil Tree is with us today. Her words have woven a tapestry of emotions and imaginations that has touched our hearts. Without further ado, let's warmly welcome the author, the creative force behind this literary gem. Please join me in inviting Mrs. Anjana Varma to the dais to share her thoughts and reply to the kind words and appreciation.
Good evening, everyone. Everyone's so kind. And it's very, very difficult to even begin to express my happiness to be here today. I would not have dreamt this possible even a couple of months ago. My sense of satisfaction in having been able to complete this book, the elation of being a part of this small part, but still a part of this distinguished dais, and the joy of being with all of you today. Believe me, it's a great honor. Now, without much delay, I'd like to go on to my first duty. Other than that, talk about the book. And if I have to do this, first I have to talk a little bit about the times in which the book is set. A lot has been said about it, but a few sentences. Malabar 1921 and what transpired during that time has actually touched everyone in Kerala in some way or the other. Indian ചരിത്രത്തിലും അതിനൊരു പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട റോൾ തന്നെയുണ്ട്. The advent of the Khilafat movement in Malabar, which ignited a pan-Islamic call, it resonated deeply. It united a community in one shared cause. The Muslims in Malabar, they saw it not just as a catalyst for political and social change, but as a religious duty. The influence of the Khilafat movement was profound. There was Congress support. The alignment with the non-cooperation movement against British rule, it intensified. And the spirit of resisting social injustice was aroused. All said and done, somewhere, somehow, sometime, താളം തെറ്റി. The tempo changed completely, and there was a deafening cacophony. The hatred, revenge, violence, aതൊക്കെ take over you. Thousands of people were humiliated, tortured, killed, and it's definitely a very tumultuous, very tragic period in our history. My story happens during this catastrophic period. The whole of northern and north central Kerala was affected, but Beneath the Devil Tree revolves around what happened in Ernakulam, in that region, specifically Nilambur, Pukotur and the Pulangodu Valley. It was in 2015, if I remember right, as a part of a totally different project. Actually, അതൊരു കുടുംബസംഗമത്തിൻ്റെ അതുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട ഒരു പ്രോഗ്രാം അവതരിപ്പിക്കാനായിരുന്നു. അതിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ഞാൻ കുറച്ച് റീഡിങ് ചെയ്തു, നെറ്റൊക്കെ ബ്രൗസ് ചെയ്തു. At this point, I'd like to mention, just like Devan, I'm also an extended part of the Nilambur Kovilagam. My husband's from there. Anyway, coming back to, I happened to read more about what happened during this time as a part of something else. അതൊരു ക്വിസ് പ്രോഗ്രാം ആയിരുന്നു. അതിന് വേണ്ടി ഞാൻ കുറച്ച് റിസർച്ച് ചെയ്തപ്പോൾ I happened to see a petition written to Lady Reading, the wife of the Viceroy and Governor General of India. It was signed by the Rani of Malabar on behalf of all the women of Malabar. When I read it, it touched me, it intrigued me, shocked me, and my curiosity was ignited, and somehow my imagination was triggered. അങ്ങനെ ഞാൻ അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് കൂടുതൽ വായിക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങി, എങ്ങനെയൊക്കെയോ എഴുതാനും തുടങ്ങി. അത് കുറച്ചായി കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോഴാണ് ഞാൻ തന്നെ അറിഞ്ഞത്. Then of course there was more serious research. I read voluminous amounts of material, and I looked up records, I spoke to people, and 5 years later the book was complete. And soon after I became a grandmother, and there were 2 babies in my house and in my heart. Challenges ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. സമയം, obviously സമയം. അന്ന് ഞാൻ 12 hours a day വർക്ക് ചെയ്തിരുന്നു, കുറെ അങ്ങോട്ട് കമ്മ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്യാനൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. യൂഷ്വൽ ഒരു ഹൗസ് വൈഫിന്റെ റെസ്പോൺസിബിലിറ്റീസ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. രാത്രി 8 മണിക്ക് വീട്ടിൽ വന്ന് എഴുതും, പറ്റിയ വീക്കെൻഡ്സിൽ എഴുതും, ചിലപ്പോൾ ലാപ്ടോപ്പും കൊണ്ട് വർക്ക് പ്ലേസിൽ പോയി എഴുതും, എന്തൊക്കെയോ കാണിച്ചിരുന്നു. കുറച്ച് കഴിയുമ്പോൾ ആ ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ് കൂടുതൽ വന്നപ്പോൾ then I decided to quit my job and do this full time. പക്ഷേ ഈ സമയമൊന്നും ആയിരുന്നില്ല എൻ്റെ ബിഗ്ഗസ്റ്റ് ചാലഞ്ച്. My own lack of initiative. I had massive writing blocks. എഴുതാനേ പറ്റില്ല. ജയറാം സാർ പറഞ്ഞ സേതു എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ കഥാപാത്രം ഉണ്ട് പുസ്തകത്തിൽ. ഷീ ഈസ് ഓൾസോ റൈറ്റർ. സേതുവിനും ഇതേ പ്രശ്നമായിരുന്നു. She wouldn't write for months. She would bury her manuscript. അവർക്കുള്ള പെട്ടി ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ലേ, മുണ്ടൊക്കെ മടക്കി വെച്ച് കൈതപ്പൂവിന്റെ മണമൊക്കെ ആയിട്ട് പെട്ടി. ആ പെട്ടിയുടെ അടിയിലേക്ക് സേതുവിന്റെ മാനുസ്ക്രിപ്റ്റ് തിരികെ വെക്കും. She didn't want to write. വിശ്വസിക്കില്ല പറഞ്ഞാൽ സ്വയം സൃഷ്ടിച്ച കഥാപാത്രങ്ങളോട് എന്താന്ന് പറയല ഒരു പരിചയക്കേടോ ഒരു ഇഷ്ടക്കുറവോ, ഐ ഡോണ്ട് വാണ്ട് ടു സീ ദീസ് പീപ്പിൾ എനിമോർ, കാണാൻ വേണ്ട അവരെ എന്നുള്ളൊരു ഫീലിംഗ്. അതായത് ഒരു എഴുത്തുകാരി എന്നുള്ള നിലയ്ക്ക് സേതുവിന്റെ പ്രശ്നം. ആക്ച്വലി എന്റെ പ്രശ്നം ഞാൻ സേതുവിന് ട്രാൻസ്ഫർ ചെയ്ത് കൊടുക്കുകയാണ് കേട്ടോ. അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കാലങ്ങളായിരുന്നു കൂടുതൽ. എഴുതാത്ത സമയവും എഴുതിയ സമയവും ഒക്കെ കൂടി സംഹൗ ഒപ്പിച്ചു തീർത്തു എന്ന് പറയാം. ബട്ട് ഒരു ബ്ലെസ്സിംഗ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു, ബ്ലെസ്സിംഗ് ഇൻ ഡിസ്ഗൈസ്. കോവിഡ്, ലോക്ക്ഡൗൺ, കുറെ ഫ്രീ ടൈം. സോ ദ ബുക്ക് I was able to complete it faster than I would have otherwise. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ ബുക്ക് കഴിഞ്ഞു. ഈ അൺഎക്സ്പെക്ടഡ് ലെഷർ ഒക്കെ കാരണം another hurdle was finding a publisher. But I cut that long and frustrating story short. Vitasta Publications came into my life, and beneath the devil tree, it happened. I can't talk about my book and not talk about my characters. നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ പരിചയക്കേടും നീരസവും ഒക്കെ അവരോട് തോന്നിയിട്ടുണ്ട് ധാരാളം. But they're still so close to my heart. I can talk about them for hours on end. ഒരു അമ്മയ്ക്ക് മക്കളെ കുറിച്ച് എത്ര പറഞ്ഞാലും മതിയാവില്ലല്ലോ, അതുപോലെയാണ് ഇവര്. പേടിക്കണ്ട, I won't talk for hours on end, but a little bit about some of them. When the Harry Potter writer J.K. Rowling, she was asked where she got her ideas for her characters, and J.K. Rowling said she used basically three methods of characterization, and her 3 main characters represented one method each. J.K. Rowling പറഞ്ഞാണ്, sometimes writers find their characters among the people they associate with on a daily basis. അപ്പോൾ റൗളിങ്ങിന്റെ Ron Weasley was modeled on her own best friend in her childhood.
You continue. I need to go.
Okay.
Can I go? No, I have another program. Please go on. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thank you, Deja.
Yeah, good. Answer, good.
Ron Weasley was based on my childhood friend. അതുപോലെ sometimes writers base their characters on themselves. Hermione Granger was Rowling's self-portrait. And then again, some characters are purely imagination. Purely imagination ആണ് ചില characters. ഇപ്പോൾ Beneath the Deviltry-യുടെ കഥാപാത്രങ്ങളെ കുറിച്ച് ചോദിക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ I personally fished each and every one out of that vast ocean called history. പറക്കി എടുത്തത് തന്നെയാണ് ഓരോരുത്തരും. There are some real historical figures like the Congress leader Madhavan Nair, Ali Musaliar, Collector Thomas, Superintendent Hitchcock, even Mahatma Gandhi, Jaram sir പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ he only appears in the prologue is in his voice, but he doesn't appear anywhere else in the novel. അതുപോലെ മാധവൻ നായരോ Ali Musaliarോ Collector Thomasോ Superintendent Hitchcock ഒക്കെ they're there in the background, but they're not the main characters. We learn more about them through other people, but they don't appear directly. അവരുടെ റോൾസ് ഒക്കെ ഹിസ്റ്റോറിക്കലി അക്യൂറേറ്റ് ആണ്, പക്ഷെ അവരുടെ കഥാപാത്രങ്ങളൊന്നുമല്ല. The actual these people don't make a contribution to the development of the plot. The central characters who do, അവരിൽ ചിലരെ കുറിച്ച് ഞാൻ പറയാം. ഇപ്പൊ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ പെറ്റിഷൻ സൈൻ ചെയ്ത നിലമ്പൂർ റാണി, my character, the matriarch, the Muttashi Jairam sir mentioned, she is based on the Rani of Nilambur. Nothing much is known about that particular Rani. What I did was I just picked up her identity and pumped life into it. Atre cheyidittu, but she is that Rani of Nilambur. Then there is Mithran Damban, the man with the guns. Mithran Damban, he was 6th Thirumal part of Nilambur. He is almost entirely based on the then 6th Thirumal part of Nilambur called Chinninuni Tamban. His public side, not his personal side, that is imagined. Similarly, ഈ തമ്പാന്റെ arch nemesis ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു വടക്കേ വീട്ടിൽ Muhammad, Khilafat secretary. Incidentally, he is, I think, the character that gives me most satisfaction in creating. വടക്കേ വീട്ടിൽ Muhammad, that was his real name. His public side ഏറെക്കുറെ accurate ആണ് historically, but personal side again is imagined. Then there is a character called Alijan Sahib. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു പേര് കേരളത്തിൽ ഉണ്ടാവില്ല അല്ലേ? അത് കഥ വായിച്ചറിയാൻ അങ്ങനെ പേര് വരാൻ കാരണം അലിജാൻ സാഹിബ് വലിയ ഖിലാഫത്ത് ലീഡർ ആയിരുന്നു ലോക്കൽ ആ ഏരിയയിൽ. During my research, I got to know so many Khilafat leaders. I picked out one characteristic from one of them, one or two from someone else. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു കോമ്പൗണ്ട് മിക്സ്ചർ ആണ് അലിജാൻ. ഞാൻ പരിചയപ്പെട്ട പുസ്തകങ്ങളിലൂടെയും വായനകളിലൂടെയും പരിചയപ്പെട്ട ഖിലാഫത്ത് ലീഡേഴ്സിന്റെ ഒരു കോമ്പൗണ്ട് മിക്സ്ചർ ആണ് അലിജാൻ സാഹിബ്. പിന്നീട് അലിജാൻ സാഹിബിന്റെ ബീവി ഉണ്ട്, മിത്രൻ തമ്പാന്റെ ഭാര്യയുണ്ട്, മുഹമ്മദിന്റെ ഭാര്യയുണ്ട്, നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ സേതു ഉണ്ട്. ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള കുറെ അവരൊക്കെ they don't exist anywhere else except in my imagination. Then there is Black Tangal എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു ക്യാരക്ടർ ഉണ്ട്. He is a very hazy, very mysterious presence throughout. പക്ഷെ as the novel progresses നമുക്ക് ആ ക്യാരക്ടറിനെ കുറിച്ച് കൂടുതൽ മനസ്സിലാവും, അവസാനം ഐഡന്റിറ്റി മനസ്സിലാവും. അതുവരെ ഐഡന്റിറ്റി അത്ര എനിക്ക് ക്ലിയർ ആവില്ല. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഹേസി മിസ്റ്റീരിയസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ക്യാരക്ടറാണ് ബ്ലാക്ക് തങ്കൽ. അങ്ങനെ കുറച്ചുപേരെ കുറിച്ച് ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു, എല്ലാവരെ കുറിച്ചും ഞാൻ പറയുന്നില്ല. When you read the book, you will get to meet them. But characters, my beloved characters, they are the ones who are telling the story. അവരാണ് ഈ കഥ പറയുന്നത്. അവരുടെ ശബ്ദങ്ങളാണ് നിങ്ങൾ ഈ പുസ്തകത്തിലൂടെ കേൾക്കുന്നത്. അന്ന് 1921 ഏറനാടിൽ എന്താണ് സംഭവിച്ചെന്നുള്ളത് പുസ്തകങ്ങൾക്കും പഠനങ്ങൾക്കും റെക്കോർഡുകൾക്കും എന്താ പറയുക ചാനൽ ചർച്ചകൾക്കും ഡിബേറ്റുകൾക്കും തർക്കങ്ങൾക്കും കശപിശാടിപിടികൾക്കും സ്വന്തം നേട്ടത്തിന് വേണ്ടിയുള്ള പലതരം ഇന്റർപ്രിറ്റേഷൻസുകൾക്കും ഒക്കെ പറയാൻ കഴിയുന്നതിനേക്കാൾ കൂടുതൽ കുറച്ചും കൂടി വ്യക്തമായ ഒരു ചിത്രം ഈ കഥാപാത്രങ്ങൾ ആൾക്കാർക്ക് കൊടുക്കും എന്നാണ് ഞാൻ വിശ്വസിക്കുന്നത്. ഫിക്ഷൻ എന്നുള്ള മാധ്യമം ആൾക്കാർക്ക് കൊടുക്കും എന്നാണ് ഞാൻ വിശ്വസിക്കുന്നത്. So this book, it tells a story of love and hatred, harmony and discord, of strategies and blunders. In short, it tells a story of life, because this is what life is. And I think it will help my readers relive those times. Writing, it is said, is a solitary profession. But stark reality, I know, it proves it wrong. I could never have done this without the abundant support and help I had from so many people, end of the book where I have acknowledged all these people and thanked them. So I will not repeat their names again, but there are two people I would like to talk about. Their contributions are physically visible in the book. The cover art is by Balaram Parapil. He's a distant cousin of my husband's. I've been a fan of his art for a long time. I once happened to see an exhibition of his during our family get-together, and ever since I've loved loved his work. So ഈ പുസ്തകം എഴുതി തുടങ്ങിയ കാലത്ത് തന്നെ കുറച്ചങ്ങനെ പകുതിയായപ്പോഴേക്കും തന്നെ എൻ്റെ മനസ്സിലൊരു മോഹം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. എൻ്റെ പുസ്തകം ഇറങ്ങുകയാണെങ്കിൽ അതിൻ്റെ കവറ് ബലറാം പരപ്പിൽ വരയ്ക്കണം. ജോലി തിരക്കുകൾക്കിടയിലും ഗ്ലോബ് ട്രോട്ടിങ്ങിൻ്റെ ഇടയിലും ഇസ് എ വെരി ബിസി മാൻ. എനിക്ക് വേണ്ടി സമയം കണ്ടെത്തി ഈ മനോഹരമായ ചിത്രം രചിച്ചു തന്ന എൻ്റെ പുസ്തകത്തിന്റെ ശോഭ കൂട്ടിയ ബലറാം പരപ്പിലിനെ എനിക്ക് ഒരിക്കലും മറക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല. പിന്നെ ഇൻസൈഡ് ദ ബുക്ക് ഇൻ ദ ഫസ്റ്റ് പേജ് there is a map. I have a very talented youngster called Mahesh Raja to thank for that. He has a passion for cartography and city planning and so many things he tells me. Anyway, he's like a son to me and I wish him a bright future. Now, I would like to see, I'm new to this world of book launches. എന്താ ചെയ്യേണ്ടതെന്ന് എനിക്ക് അറിയില്ലായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ എന്നോട് ചിലർ പറഞ്ഞു the author will do a small reading from the book. So I thought I'll read a little bit to you. I won't take up too much of your time. I've chosen an extract that comes plumb in the middle of the book. അപ്പോൾ അതിന് ഞാൻ കുറച്ച് വായിക്കാം. She couldn't help thinking fondly of Mamal. After all, it was a special relationship she shared with him. When you save a life, you establish a bond no less than the one you create when you actually give life. Even after her nephew's departure, the thought stream refused to leave her. Leaning back in her chair, the matriarch exhaled slowly and cast her mind to a rather wet day, more than a quarter of a century ago. It was the fourth day of her monthly period, one of her last, if she remembered right. She had been past 50 and quite irregular. Madhu had stepped out of the dark room and set off for the river at dawn with two maids in tow, carrying freshly laundered clothes. She had to immerse herself in the cleansing waters of the Chaliyar before she could resume a normal routine. The newborn son was fast gaining strength, causing the sky to flush in maternal pride. The Ananga Para held its head high, daring the world to uproot it. The riverscape always gave Madhu a feeling of security and belonging, as did the Devil Tree and the Temple of Vetekaren. The Chaliyar had flowed this way from the beginning of time. The Ananga Para had always towered in the background, and the Devil Tree had stood guard over Vetekaran's shrine forever. At 50, Madhu had been as agile as a girl. Arthritis did not plague her knees. She skipped down the steps so nimbly that she was already in the water before the maids with their bundles were even halfway down the steps. She slid into the flow and stood there waist deep and drank in the air. In a cove quite far away from their own, a Muslim woman was rinsing out clothes. She sat on the steps in her ankle-length waistcloth, a long-sleeved blouse, her hair covered by the ever-present veil. Madhu's eyesight was sharp. She saw a naked little boy of 2 or 3 sit on a nearby rock watching his mother. She dipped into the water, came out with her long hair undone and spread out around her like dark rays. She took a deep breath and went down again. This time when she came up, there were screams all around. Ayo, help! Will someone come running? Vetekara! The maids were calling out frantically, pacing nervously on the edge of the water. Enter Abbe! The young Umachi was thrashing about in the water. The clothes she'd been washing floated about around her. What's the matter? Madhu asked her maids. The child, Kambati, he's fallen in. She saw the small figure carried by the current, and in a few purposeful strokes, she reached the spot, grabbed him, and before the next screech ensued, she was swimming strongly with the child under one arm. His mother stopped floundering in the water and climbed out. She made a dash for the boy as Madhu deposited him on the river's edge and wrung the water out of her hair. She took one look at the child. His chubby face was flushed in fear, his hair plastered to his scalp, his eyes were an unusual green, a shade lighter than the emeralds in her favorite Palekya necklace. She swam back to her own cove and took the final cleansing dip. The characters we meet here are the matriarch, and the child will grow up to the Vadake Vedal Mamad, the person who, the Tamban's arch nemesis, as I said, who was actually responsible in many ways for the riots that happened in that area. In my story. So now I'll move on to my second duty, to render the vote of thanks. As this happy, memorable event draws close, I am profoundly grateful to each and everyone here today. To Justice Devin Ramachandran. His presence here today was indeed an honor. When he first accepted our invitation so readily, so naturally, and even gave us valuable input on planning the event, I was pleased beyond measure and proud. I'm really grateful to him, overwhelmed and grateful. To the two veteran literary giants present on the dais today, Sanamash Poi, Professor M.K. Sano. His prolific literary contributions have not only enriched our cultural heritage, but also inspired countless individuals. I claim to have written historical fiction about the events in Malabar 1921. But actually, Sanumash was born just a few years after that. His age, experience, and the fact that everything about him belies his age is indeed admirable. I'm really grateful that he could join us here today. Shri K. Anjana Varma, his exemplary literary contributions and the inspiration he provides to the younger generation of writers by remaining so productive at this age. All that goes without saying. I have known him all my life. He's encouraged me while I was writing the book, scolded me when I allowed the writing block to get the better of me. Sir, your presence here is, in addition to everything else, is that of a father figure, comforting, reassuring. Thank you so much. To Professor C.S. Jairam, he was the first person we consulted when we decided to host an event like this. He was the one who gave us direction, and he actually suggested Chavra Cultural Center as an ideal venue. And I came to know today that he's read the book in a matter of a week. I'm really thankful to him for doing that and the kind words today, for bringing the book to life here again. To Father Anil Philip and the staff of Chavra Cultural Center for this beautiful venue with all the right vibes for a book launch event, and for the technical support. Father, actually, we had no clue as to how to organize a book launch event. Father Anil and the Chavra family simply took it into their hands, and things went as smoothly as a well-oiled machine. Thank you so much for your cooperation and support, Father, and for making this a lovely experience. I would also like to especially thank Mr. Alex and the camera team for making it possible to capture this moment on film and helping us preserve the beautiful memories. Finally, but just as heartily, I thank all of you for responding to our invitations and being here with me at this big milestone of my life. You have all wished me well, wished my book well. Some of you already bought it, started reading it. I hope you all enjoyed this event. I hope you will enjoy the book. Thank you ever so much.